Hello, everyone. My name is Christian. Welcome back to my hobby blog. I'm excited today because I'm going to be talking about Book 6 of Novels of the Malazan Empire by Ian Esslemont. This is Book 6 of the Novels of the Malazan Empire. This is Assail. Uh, I am surprisingly positive about this book. So, if you've seen the rest of my reviews about the series, I'm very kind of ambivalent towards it. I still love the world building within Malazan in these books, but overall, I do not care for many of the characters, the vast majority of them. And I was really disappointed mostly in this book because they didn't wrap up a lot of the storylines that I was looking forward to seeing how they were going to wrap up. And specifically with the characters of Kiska and Leomin, who, if you've read Malazan Book of the Fallen, you know who Leomin of the Flails is, and they don't really get a conclusion in this book. They don't show up at all, and so I kind of wonder where they're gonna pop up next in the series because I haven't read Carcanis, I haven't read the Witness series, and also the earlier series. I don't know what it's called, but it's the one starring Cotillion and Shadow Throne, and I really want to get to those, but this book specifically is focused on the continent of Assail. But my issue with this book is that we don't go to that continent for many, many chapters. We have one really great POV within the continent, and that's the sort of character that we follow through a lot of it. He escapes his home village and wants to do more with his life, and he's kind of last when it comes to the inheritance of his family sword. But he knows that his father wanted him to have the family sword, so he takes it, and then we have this kind of mad chase after him to try and reclaim it. And I love this character. I thought he was really interesting. But I would say that the vast majority of the POVs in this book were not that interesting. Although Kyle does make a comeback, I still really enjoy his character. I find him to be the most interesting of the characters that Ian has created. And I really enjoyed kind of just following them along, discovering Assail. One of my big sort of good things about this series overall is that Ian Esslemont is still great at doing world building along with Steven. And I love that he's sort of basically made each book highlight a different continent within the world of Malazan. And that's been my absolute joy. I think that's been my favorite part about reading his books. But again, I don't know. I want to do a video with Philip at some point, but I would love to do a overall sort of video on the series of novels of the Malazan Empire because I really feel like I don't want to say I wasted time reading all these books, but these books are just as big, if well, not bigger, but just as big as the Malazan books. Some of these books go into the 1,000 pages. This one was about 600, 700 or so. And there's just way too much standing around and doing nothing in the series. But this book, just like Blood and Bone, I felt like, had the most interesting traveling because most of our characters are going somewhere. There's a mad gold rush happening on the continent of Assail to the far north, and we have a lot of people wanting that. We have people from Lether, the Fairy Empire, who I was really excited to see them again. I hadn't seen them in a very long time since like the days of Rulad and all that, and considering how much change that continent and nation has gone through in the Malazan series, I was very excited to see them again. It was so fun to get the really weird, very capitalist type of view of the world because Malazan is very postmodern, I would say. It's very unique in the way that Stephen and Ian show the world. And Lether is sort of like the closest metaphor to America that this world has. And so it's really fun to kind of read about this continent and how they're wanting to go onto Assail. And of course, everyone's afraid of the Forkul Assail. and they don't really make an appearance at all in this book. I was very disappointed by that. There's really no Forku Assail in this book. I don't know where they were. There was maybe like one or two of them that showed up in this book, but overall, it was basically just rival continents and nations and people who these main characters were sort of engaging with. And that's fine, I guess, but I was really disappointed. I really wanted more Forku Assail. I think they were very fascinating people within Malazan Book of the Fallen, and we don't really get them in novels of the Malazan Empire. And considering that we have an entire book dedicated to the Forku Assail and their homeland, I was really hoping that we would have a POV, just like every book that Ian has done, where we have one POV be the Crimson Guard and another POV be, the people within the continent. And I've always enjoyed the sort of indigenous perspective within the Malazan series, because you get so much just really great world building and sort of looks at people and culture and sort of how each culture is different than the other one. And there's hundreds of cultures within the Malazan world, and I find all of them to be very fascinating. And I was really hoping we would get a Forku Assail POV that really kind of delves into the culture, into how they run, into what they believe, and we don't really get that. And I was really disappointed that I kind of felt tricked by Ian, because this book is called Assail. It takes place on the continent of Assail, and we get really no Forku Assail, and it was just so disappointing. But I will say that the action continues to be good. I mean, it's Malazan. Both of these authors know how to write action very well. But I think the big issue with this book is that despite them showing up to Assail halfway through the book or so, the ones who were trying to go there, that wasn't the main POV from Assail. There was just way too much boat riding. This is something that I find tedious in every book by Ian, is that there's a lot of sailing and people sitting in cabins and having to deal with seasickness and just general sickness on boats and multi-week, multi-month ship journeys, and I'm very tired of it. I don't want to read about another boat. I almost cussed. I don't want to read about another dang boat for a very long time. I have no interest anymore in these sea voyages and Malazan, and I want it to stop. And I'm happy I'm done with this series now. I've read all 6 books. A lot of people don't like these books. I am kind of part of that boat, but at the same time not to do a pun on boats just then after complaining about them. But I really felt like the big thing that I love most about this series is the world building. There were very few characters who I enjoyed. Kyle, again, was probably one of my top characters. Greymane, he was not in this book. If you read previous books, you'll know why. But overall, I don't know, it's like a big weight off of my shoulders finishing the series. I don't know. I don't think I'll ever reread these books again. I'll keep them, just in case. But for the most part, I'm just sort of done with Malazan because of this series. But I know that Carcanis and the Witness series is a lot better received than this series. So I'm going to continue, of course. I love Malazan. I love the world. I love the characters. But, man, I need to talk to someone and do a video discussion about the series overall, because there were not that many high points and there were a lot of low points, and I wanted to kind of pick someone's brain about what they think about the book, and because it was just such a slog, I felt like, to get through every single book. I think Return of the Crimson Guard book 2 was my favorite, but I was just I think I was just still kind of in my super loving phase of Malazan at that time. So 'cause a lot of people I've talked to, they say that's the least favorite of the series, and I'm always shocked by that, because I don't know, the book, I think it was book 3 I really did not enjoy. That was Orb, Scepter, Throne, and then it was I think after Orb Scepter Throne, that one I actually really enjoyed, Orb Scepter Throne. But maybe it was book 4. I can't remember the name. Stone Wielder. Stone Wielder, I thought, was the biggest slog of them all. And some people have that as their favorite. And so I'm very curious, like, why these books didn't work for me as much as it did for others. And sort of where that opinion difference is. Because there's just so much, like, little things that I liked, but when it comes to the major stuff, I didn't like it as much. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll do a video with somebody. I don't know. I don't know many people who've read these books. But I just really wanted more out of this. And I'm still kind of wrestling with myself about whether to recommend this series. Because I think Return of the Crimson God is very essential if you're going to read Malazan Book of the Fallen, excuse me. But I think overall, the rest of the books, I mean, Orb Scepter Throne, I would recommend. And if you love Vietnam movies and you love Platoon and you love, Apocalypse Now and all these other kind of jungle war movies, I think Blood and Bone is going to be right up your alley. But I don't know. I just really did not care for any of these books except Return of the Crimson God and Orb Scepter Throne. And I'm very disappointed to say that because it's 6 books. Almost all of them are reaching towards 1,000 pages except for Knight of Knives. But I was just really disappointed. And I know I'm kind of just rambling, but this is sort of me just kind of wrestling with the fact that I don't know. I don't hate these books and I don't dislike them. I'm just very disappointed and ambivalent towards them. Like, I didn't really get much out of these. But at the same time, it is Malazan. I mean, there's a lot of things in Malazan. It feels like it has everything that you could ever want in a fantasy series. But the issue comes with the fact that there's just so much traveling in all these books. There's so much just sitting around at campfires talking, which there's a lot of that in Book of the Fallen, but I think the characters were just so much more interesting in Book of the Fallen than in these series. Because I would say at most there were 3 characters I cared about in every single book. Meanwhile, in Malazan Book of the Fallen, every book has at least 10 characters who, on some days, I think one of them is my favorite character out of those 10. And I couldn't find more than 2 or 3 characters per these books, in each book, that I could care more than a little bit about. So it was really disappointing. The character work is just not there for me. Character work is very important to me as a reader. I don't care as much for story as I do character arcs. And man, the story wasn't there. The characters weren't there. It was really just the world building that I thought was fantastic. And Ian did get better as a writer throughout each of these books. You can really see it. But I think his character work is just not there. And I really hope that the next series I read by him, because I think he has one more in the Malazan world that I think he's just done a trilogy in it. But I really want to read that, and I really, really hope that I like it more, because this one was just, more the same. And even though it was one of my more favorite books, I think Return of the Crimson God is still my number 1. Maybe I'll do a tier ranking of all of them, all 6 of them, but I would not recommend the series. I think I'm going to settle on that because there's just so much, like so many pages to get through. I think if you're interested in particular characters, once you finish Book of the Fallen, I think you should at least look up the spoilers of what happens to those characters, because Taishran, I mean, we don't even get a conclusion with him. We have an awesome, awesome book with him, Leoman and Kiska, and Orb Scepter Throne, and then after that, there's no word of them after that. I guess I'm happy with the conclusion that they had, but overall, I feel like there could have been so much more done with these characters, and instead we get all these new characters that I still don't care about, and it's just it's a slog. It's an absolute slog. People say Wheel of Time has a slog, but at least you're still with your favorite characters in those books. Like, I think Crossroads of Twilight is the only thing I would even consider a slog in Wheel of Time, and I feel like book 7 I just don't like in general. I think it's just very boring. But book 8 and 9 are some of my favorite books in Wheel of Time. And then book 11, people don't consider, slog. And I completely understand with that. I love book 11, Wheel of Time. But, anyways, I just don't care to ever revisit these books again. I've already said that, but I'm in the midst of a Malazan reread, book The Fallen. And I'm on book 3 now. Me, Philip, and Kathy, we've all done reviews, discussions on each of the first 2 books. But I don't know. I'm just not in the mood to reread Malazan anymore. Because there's so many pages, and I only have so many hours, and I want to read new books. So that's sort of one reason why I haven't done a Memories of Ice, even though I love Memories of Ice. I think it's one of the best books in the series, outside of like book 5 and book 10. I love those books. But I think overall, I don't know. I think I'm Malazaned out in terms of rereads because I'm hiccuping, of course. I just really don't care to reread just all of those pages. And I love what happens in those books. I love reading Malazan, but I just don't have enough time. And reading Malazan is such a major undertaking. And it took me over a year to read it the first time. And already we're almost a year into my reread. I've only read 2 books, and I haven't been that good about reading those books, rereading them, because, again, I don't have as much time. I want to read new stuff, and I think after how bad my reaction was to this series, Novels of the Malazan Empire, I don't know. I think I'm just going to give up on my reread. If you're still watching, let me know what you think and help me decide, because I loved reading the books. I love talking about them. That's some of my biggest highlights on my channel, is talking to Philip, talking to Kathy, and anyone else who's a Malazan fan. This is one of my favorite series of all time, top 3, I would say. And I just don't have the energy anymore. I don't know if there's something wrong with me, or I don't know, something I'm thinking about. But yeah, I would give this book, I guess, just to throw out a rating, I would give it like a 6 out of 10. I would not go below 5 out of 10. I don't think it's a bad book. I just did not care for the characters, for the vast majority of them, just like any other book in the series. But I did really enjoy Kyle's storyline, and that one character, the new one from Assail that I was talking about. I really loved his character as well. I thought he was just really interesting. He had some really great character conflicts, but man, I'm never reading this series again, and maybe I should trade it in to my used bookstore, get some money off of them, but it would be nice to have like a complete Malazan collection by the time all the books are out, because they're still writing Stephen and Ian. So yeah, I think that's it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. If you're still watching, let me know what you think of these books, if you've read them, and please have a great rest of the day. Thank you.